Hello and welcome to Eye of Gnosis Tarot. My name is Ewan, and today we are continuing with the Suit of Cups, looking at the Five of Cups, also known as Disappointment. Now, if you've not seen the previous videos, please do go and have a look on my channel at the Cups playlist to give further context to this card, as well as the Suit of Wands playlist, for that is the metaphysical origin of each of the numbers of the tarot and will give much more context as we go through each of the suits of the Minor Arcana. Now, if you want to skip straight to the Divinatory Interpretations, there is a timestamp down below in the description, but I do highly recommend that you watch the description and the symbolism of this card at least once before delving into divination, because otherwise you won't know what on earth you're looking at. Now, without further ado, we'll get straight into the Five of Cups. So, as we can see, we have 5 glass crystal cups arranged in the pattern of an inverted pentagram. This pentagram is made from the decayed lotus stems we saw in the previous card, the Four of Cups. And these also form, if we look carefully, this heart shape at the top and this butterfly shape at the bottom. The sea we have seen in the previous cards is now completely dried out, and this was hinted towards in the previous cards, so do go back and look at that Four of Cups video. The sky has become this deep orange and red colour, almost like a nuclear fallout, and there is no water flowing from the lotuses or between the cups. If we notice, the cups are completely empty. Meanwhile, these last 2 lotus flowers shed their petals as they begin to die. The sign of Mars sits above the card, whilst that of Scorpio lingers below. So here in the Five of Cups, the uneasiness that we saw in the Four of Cups has finally met its climax. This is very much an uh-oh card, and really all the fives emphasise that statement. The stagnation of luxury has led to its inevitable conclusion, disappointment. True satisfaction can only be found within the supernal triad. Do go look at the Three of Wands video for more context. And thus more attempts to regain it further down the tree of life will end in a severe excess or lack of emotion. Like the Five of Wands, the Five of Cups is a significant change, and we'll see this throughout the suits, that 5 is this overturning of the old order. Essentially, if you get a square, you add another point, it will turn the square over as it becomes a pentagon. So this significant change is far less stable and lacking the energy or the will of the Five of Wands, because that is essentially what the wands are, energy and will. As such, as it lacks this energy, the Five of Cups is a collapse rather than a revolution that we saw in the Five of Wands. Geburah is a fierce Sephiro, so Geburah being the 5th Sephiro of the Tree of Life. And Mars actually belongs here, it rules Geburah. Furthermore, Scorpio is traditionally ruled by Mars. So if we look at these zodiacal placements on the Decan wheel, the Decan wheel being the astrological year, which crosses over with the tarot cards, you may think that this would be an auspicious card. So we have a ruling planet in its ruling sign, in a ruling Sephiro. And furthermore, it would be. However, we are in the Suit of Cups. And the problem is that there is far too much masculine energy in a primarily feminine suit. Connection with the divine feminine has become lost, boiling the life-giving waters of Binah, which was the sea, and leaving a barren waste with empty cups in its wake. There is no subtlety, no respite, and only the incessant urge to do, in a suit that is quite content with being. So here we're talking about the divine masculine as essentially being the universal urge to do, or just doing in nature, thinging, and the divine feminine being that, just being. It's a more passive energy, the yin energy. Again, this is not about gender. Our genders are just imperfect reflections of these two polarities, and in fact, everyone has masculine and feminine within them. In fact, the entire universe does. Emotions have run so high in order to break from the mundanity of 4 that they have burnt themselves out. We are neither content with what we had or what we want. Indeed, we have quite forgotten what we want at all. However, this card also reminds us that this destruction is not inherently negative, and that we can learn many lessons about our emotional state and those of others from the loss of the stability in 4. It's a bit of a dark night of the soul, essentially, this card. With reflection and understanding comes wisdom, and the mind is encouraged to transform this disappointment rather than become lost in it. And now here we really see the influence of Scorpio here being the most transformative of the zodiacal signs. Let's have a little look at the symbolism in this card, which we've already touched upon, but we're going to a little bit more depth here. So the 5 of Cups is the loss that 4 so greatly feared, that demiurge we talked about in the last video. In a twist of irony, the very fear of losing control has led to its destruction, as is so often the case, and this will be a theme we see repeating not only in the suit of Cups, but very much in the suit of Swords when we come to that. The waters of Blessed Binah have all dried up, a result of 4's obstinate need to contain its emotional flow, which has led to a literal burnout. So if you remember, in the 4 of Cups, we had water pouring from the lotus flower into the cups, but though that water wasn't pouring back into the Sea of Binah as it was in the 2 and 3 of Cups, so it's completely dried out from sucking all the water up, but also the fiery nature of Mars here has burnt it out as well. This is why we have that red nuclear sky in the background. So as we've just said, this is not only symbolised by the barren wasteland and the empty cups in the card, but also Mars in Scorpio, and Scorpio is very much acquainted with death and destruction. The most prominent feature of the card is the inverted pentagram we see here. This is the first time it will make its appearance in the Thoth Tarot deck, but not the last. And the pentagram, you see, is a symbol of matter. It has 5 points. We are in Geberah after all. And very much like the human form, the head, 2 arms and 2 legs. And also, if you look in nature, you will see the pattern of the pentagram throughout quite a few things, such as the seeds of an apple when cut along its equator, and also a lot of flowers have 5 petals, etc., etc. And when we invert the pentagram, what we are essentially saying is that there is a triumph of matter over spirit, or rather consciousness, and this is why it is often seen as a malefic sign, the inverted pentagram, because we're placing the physical world above the spiritual world. Such a concept could simply not exist in the metaphysical world of the Wands, as it was really the beginning of spirit, and hence why the 5 of Wands did not feature this sigil. But here in the chemical cups, it is all too real. In Chesed, the idea of stability became an obsession, and now in Geberah, we are looking at the sorry fruit of that obsession, which is, of course, disappointment. the cups have turned to glass, expressing the precarious nature of this card. And also this version of Geberer, especially when held by the decaying stems of the lotus plant, which have really turned black now. The once bright and bountiful flowers of the previous cards have now become reduced to 2 drooping lotuses. They are the last remnants of Chokmah, love, in the second Sephirah, hence why we have 2 of them. Yet not all hope is lost, for the flowers still remain, even in this dilapidated state. This promise is shown in the lotus pads above, which form this wonderful heart-like shape. Furthermore, the stems at the bottom of the card create this butterfly motif. And this symbolises transformation and rebirth, and as we said earlier, this is a very significant aspect of Scorpio, which we'll see in the Death Major Arcana, and is of course the purpose of 5, to overthrow, transform and reinvigorate things. So now we're going to have a look at the Divinatory Interpretations of the card. In the 5 of Cups, we have begun to learn how unstable our emotions can be. If we try to control them or maintain them, they will slip through our desperate grasp to ruin, or, preferably, transformation. And more often than not, both happen at the same time. When well dignified, this card represents transformation, of course, wisdom, and specifically wisdom learnt from hardship, realization and sobriety. And this tends to be sobriety from our own luxuries as opposed to addictions. We'll see what that looks like later on. When ill-dignified, it represents sorrow, deceit, anxiety, loss, bitterness, and burnout. Here we learn the importance of letting our emotions run their course, rather than trying to hold on to them or suppress them. So that has been the 5 of Cups. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do hit that like button. It really does help with the channel. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon so you won't miss future videos. And we will be going through the entire tarot deck, and also I do readings for the zodiac signs and also little tutorials on how to do tarot readings. So thank you very much for watching, and please do support the channel, and I will see you again next time. May peace be with you, and goodbye.